Lucy's life seemed on track until a series of reckless choices turned her world upside down. At 29, she's far from where she envisioned herself, single without a master's degree and stuck in Canada with no clear path forward. What started as an innocent pursuit of adventure quickly spiraled into a tangled mess of deception and regret. Caught between her deep love for Patrick and her wild, addictive encounters with Ken, Lucy's life took an unexpected turn. The thrill of new experiences led to an unplanned pregnancy, and now she's faced with the crushing reality of not knowing who the father is. As Patrick moves on to marry someone new and start a fresh chapter, Lucy is left alone with a baby on the way, haunted by her choices. In the midst of her turmoil, Lucy's story unfolds as a stark reminder of how easily dreams can unravel and how costly our mistakes can be. This is a tale of love, loss, and the search for redemption when everything seems lost. Welcome to the Cheaters Exposed. If this is your first visit, make sure to subscribe for more real-life stories like this one. I'm in desperate need of advice, feeling like I'm on the brink of losing my sanity. At 29, my life seems to have stalled in ways I never anticipated. I'm single, without a boyfriend, and still lacking the master's degree I once dreamed of. Adding to my troubles, I'm here without the papers for permanent residency and am currently pregnant without knowing who is responsible and can't afford to return to Nigeria. This situation feels like a relentless trap, tightening with every passing day. I can't shake the sense that I've somehow brought this hardship upon myself, or perhaps I'm cursed by unseen forces. It's as if there are shadowy enemies, whether real or imagined, working against me, deepening my struggle and despair. My hopes seem distant, and I'm left grappling with a feeling of profound helplessness, unsure of how to escape this cycle of misfortune. Sometimes the walls of my small apartment seem to close in on me. I experience vivid dreams where faceless figures are chasing me, and waking up feels like a relief. Yet the fear lingers throughout the day. It's as though the weight of my struggles manifests in these unsettling dreams, leaving me on edge. The dreams are so intense that I wake up drenched in sweat, my heart racing. I often find myself staring at the ceiling in the dark, feeling the oppressive silence of the apartment, a stark contrast to the chaotic storm raging within me. My name is Lucy, and I come from a close-knit family of 6, my mom, dad, and my 4 siblings. We live in the northern part of Nigeria, where my dad runs a successful business. Thanks to his hard work, we've built a comfortable life and can consider ourselves quite wealthy. My mother also ventured into business, often traveling abroad to buy goods for her boutiques, which further added to our family's prosperity. The trips she took were frequent and lavish, usually bringing back exotic gifts and stories from far-off places, which fascinated us as children. Among my siblings, my immediate elder brother has a best friend named Patrick. Patrick has been a part of our lives for as long as I can remember. We all grew up together and attended the same church, forming a tight bond. Patrick, who is 2 years older than me, is not only intelligent and kind, but has also become an integral part of our family. My mother even affectionately refers to him as my in-law, a term that makes me blush and prompts me to ask her to stop teasing me playfully. We would often play board games and have long conversations about our dreams and futures, creating a sense of camaraderie that felt like a second family. Patrick comes from what we call a middle-class family. His parents were civil servants, earning a steady, modest income each month. Despite the difference in our economic backgrounds, our families grew very close. The friendship between Patrick and my brother helped bridge any gap between our two worlds, making Patrick almost like another sibling to us. Our families have shared countless experiences, reinforcing the strong connections that bind us together. Patrick's parents were warm and welcoming, often inviting us over for traditional meals and celebrations, which further cemented our bond. Both Patrick and Ken were significant to me, but Ken had always been more of a mentor than a friend. His charismatic presence and the way he interacted with me made me feel special but also somewhat overshadowed. I noticed that his admiration for me often seemed to border on possessiveness, a detail I chose to overlook at the time. Ken had a way of making me feel like I was the center of his universe, which was both flattering and unsettling. Ken, who was 2 years older than me, came from a wealthy family and attended the same private school as us. He was quite handsome and had a charismatic presence that made him stand out. Given that Ken was in the same class as my brother, they spent a lot of time together, working on homework and hanging out, which allowed them to bond closely. This close relationship made Ken a familiar and cherished figure in our household. His flair for drama and flair for the theatrical often added an extra layer of excitement to our interactions. As I grew older, I noticed subtle changes in Patrick's behaviour. He became more secretive about his life in Turkey and, later, Canada. It was as if there were aspects of his past he wasn't sharing with me, which sometimes led to unspoken tensions between us. I couldn't help but wonder if his secrecy was a sign of deeper issues or if he was trying to protect me from something he felt I wasn't ready to handle. I wanted to believe it was just the stress of our long-distance relationship, but a nagging feeling of unease persisted. The dream of studying engineering abroad was something my brother Patrick and Ken shared from a young age. They were all eager to pursue their degrees in different countries, and I watched as their aspirations began to take shape. I was still in Form 1 of senior high school when they set off on their international journeys. Patrick chose to attend a moderately priced university in Turkey, a decision made to fit his family's budget. He began his studies in electrical and electronic engineering with hopes of one day making a mark in the field. My brother, on the other hand, went to the UK to study mechanical engineering, while Ken set his sights on Canada for aeronautical engineering. Each of them embarked on their paths with excitement and determination, exploring new cultures and advancing their education. Their journeys were filled with letters and emails filled with their experiences, from learning new languages to adapting to diverse educational systems. I would eagerly wait for their updates, feeling both a sense of pride and longing as they described their adventures. 3 years later, I was still in touch with Patrick and Ken, maintaining our friendship despite the distance. Meanwhile, my mother decided it was time for me to stay closer to home. She arranged for me to attend a prestigious private university in Nigeria. The university was expensive, but she assured me that studying here would lead to an opportunity for me to study abroad for my master's degree. Once I finished my undergraduate program, I pursued a degree in medical laboratory science, which took 5 years to complete, including a mandatory 1-year service with the National Youth Service Corps. The rigorous training was both mentally and physically demanding, but it provided me with invaluable experience and a deeper understanding of my chosen field. It was a challenging but fulfilling journey, setting the stage for future opportunities. Fast forward 5 years to when I finally graduated from university. My plans were set to join my brother, who had relocated to Canada due to the strict immigration requirements in the UK. After earning his engineering degree, my brother successfully moved to Canada and secured his residency. Patrick, who had finished his studies in Turkey, also made his way to Canada for a postgraduate degree. He settled there, obtained his residency, and eventually gained Canadian citizenship. Before I graduated, my relationship with Patrick had blossomed. By the time I was in my 3rd year of university, Patrick had asked me out, and our connection was immediate and strong. I had been waiting for this moment for a long time, so it was an easy decision to accept his proposal. I felt certain that we were meant to be together, and we began a long-distance relationship. Our conversations were filled with dreams of our future, planning a life together that seemed just within our reach. Even though we were miles apart, Patrick showered me with affection and care, making the distance easier to bear. I was very close to my mother, and she was thrilled when I told her about my relationship with Patrick. Her support and happiness meant a lot to me, and it added to the excitement of starting this new chapter of my life. She would often reminisce about the days when we all used to gather as a family, sharing stories and laughter, which made the prospect of joining Patrick in Canada even more appealing. Moving to Canada, however, was more challenging than I anticipated. The cultural differences were stark, and I often found myself feeling isolated despite Patrick's best efforts to make me feel welcome. The harsh winters and unfamiliar social norms added to my sense of displacement, making me question whether I was truly ready for this new life. The initial excitement of new beginnings was overshadowed by the struggle to adapt, and I found myself yearning for the familiarity of home. It was clear that moving to Canada for my master's was the right choice now that my brother and Patrick were living there. I received my admission letter and, with Patrick's assistance, completed the paperwork. For my student visa. When the visa was approved, we were overjoyed at the prospect of finally being together after 2 long years of a long-distance relationship. I carefully selected a university that was only 20 minutes away from Patrick's home in Ontario. Despite my brother living in British Columbia, which is a 5-hour flight away, I wanted to be close to Patrick. The plan was to make our relationship feel more real and connected, like a genuine couple living together. Patrick and I envisioned a life where we could build our future, sharing everyday moments and creating new memories together. As a virgin, I had often heard stories from my friends back at university about their first experiences. I wanted mine to be special and to share it with Patrick, someone I had grown very close to and cared deeply about. I had always imagined our first time together as a beautiful culmination of our love, a moment we would cherish forever. As I settled into my new life, I began to notice strange occurrences in my apartment. Items would go missing, and I would find unsettling notes left in my mailbox. I tried to brush it off as stress-related paranoia, but the sense of being watched was overwhelming. The notes were cryptic and ominous, hinting at secrets. I felt I was hiding even from myself. I began to wonder if these incidents were a manifestation of my inner turmoil. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to my struggles than mere coincidence. At the same time, I reached out to Ken, who lives in Montreal, Quebec. I felt it was important to keep in touch with him out of respect and friendship. Ken was thrilled to hear that I had secured my student visa and would be arriving in Canada soon. As a friend, he made sure to stay in contact, keeping up with my travel plans and offering support as I prepared for this new chapter of my life. Ken's enthusiasm and warmth felt like a reassuring anchor amidst the chaos of my transition. Everything with Patrick seemed perfect. Our first time together was incredibly special, filled with passion and memorable moments. He went all out to make it romantic, surprising me with roses and setting up a hot shower in his new bathtub. As we were together, he explored every part of me with such care and attentiveness. I enjoyed every moment, and Patrick was truly an amazing partner. He even gave me a key to his apartment, making our relationship feel like something out of a romantic film. The intimacy we shared was profound, and it made me feel deeply connected to him. However, despite the romance, a part of me couldn't shake off the nagging doubt. Conversations with friends about exploring different experiences made me question if I was settling too quickly. I began to wonder if there were aspects of my relationship and life I might be missing out on, especially with the mysterious events unfolding around me. The desire to explore and understand my own needs began to clash with my commitment to Patrick. I felt deeply valued by Patrick, who seemed to cherish me completely. I believed that with him, I had everything I could ever want. However, I began to feel a nagging doubt. I remembered conversations with friends from university who had been involved in various casual relationships. They often spoke about how different partners brought different experiences and that it was essential to explore a few options before finding the right one. These conversations left me feeling conflicted as I grappled with the notion of exploring my desires versus honouring the commitment I had made to Patrick. Intrigued yet unsettled, I reached out to a close friend to discuss my relationship with Patrick. Her question, probing whether I could truly know if Patrick was the right one for me, without having explored other relationships, struck a chord deep within me. Her words echoed in my mind, compelling me to reflect on my desires and the true nature of my feelings for Patrick. This self-examination ignited a powerful internal struggle. Should I venture into new experiences to ensure that Patrick is indeed the one I want to be with? The more I pondered this question, the more it seemed to unravel my sense of security and contentment. This internal conflict grew stronger over the next few months. 3 months into my life in Canada, I found myself caught between the desire to hold on to Patrick and the urge to explore other possibilities. This decision set the stage for a complex journey, one that would challenge both my relationship with Patrick and my pursuit of personal fulfillment. The dilemma I faced was becoming increasingly complicated as I found myself yearning for something beyond the stability and love Patrick offered. In the midst of this turmoil, I reached out to Ken, whom I hadn't seen in years. We arranged a long weekend visit to Montreal, and I took a 4-hour train ride with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Ken and I spent the weekend rediscovering each other and delving into new experiences. He had set up a soundproof room designed specifically for intimate exploration, filled with an array of sex toys and equipment that made our time together unique and unforgettable. The experiences ranged from BDSM to adventurous scenarios that pushed my boundaries in ways I hadn't previously imagined. Ken's creativity and attentiveness in the bedroom were captivating, and I found myself deeply engaged in this new realm of exploration. The intensity of our encounters left me breathless and exhilarated, opening doors to desires I hadn't fully acknowledged before. As I reflected on my experiences with Ken, I began to ponder how to introduce some of these new interests into my relationship with Patrick. Despite our deep connection, Patrick had always viewed me through a more traditional lens, and I was unsure how to broach these new ideas without disrupting his perception of me. The fear of jeopardizing our relationship and the uncertainty of how Patrick would react created a chasm between my desires and my reality. Ken, fully aware of my relationship with Patrick through his long-standing connection with my brother, seemed detached from my current situation. He was also in a long-distance relationship with the daughter of a local pastor, Betty, now residing in the UK. A situation eerily similar to the one Patrick and I had faced before I moved to Canada. Ken mentioned that he is eager to experience life fully before settling down. He plans to commit to Betty, his future wife whom he considers his soulmate. Ken's nonchalant attitude towards his relationship with Betty contrasted sharply with my emotional turmoil, highlighting the differences in our perspectives on commitment. Now, I am left grappling with how to reconcile my newfound desires with my commitment to Patrick. The exploration with Ken has opened up a world of possibilities that I am eager to share. Still, I must navigate this delicate transition thoughtfully to maintain the integrity of my relationship with Patrick. I felt trapped between the excitement of new experiences and the weight of my existing commitments, unsure how to balance the two. I have been visiting Ken's house more frequently than I initially let on, creating a web of excuses to cover my absences from Patrick. At first, it was about group assignments with classmates. Later, I fabricated trips to visit my brother as reasons for my time away. The truth is, I have become deeply immersed in the experiences Ken and I share, and it's difficult to let go. I even sought out local groups within my university community involved in BDSM and bondage, hoping to find a similar thrill. However, their practices didn't resonate with me the way Ken's unique approach did. The thrill I found with Ken became an addiction, making it increasingly challenging to maintain the facade of normalcy in my life with Patrick. I'm caught in a complicated web of emotions. On one hand, I genuinely care for Patrick, and our relationship means a lot to me. On the other hand, my experiences with Ken have become an obsession. It's as if I'm struggling with a form of sexual addiction, where the intensity of our encounters has taken on a life of its own. The disparity between my feelings for Patrick and the allure of my experiences with Ken is creating a deep sense of inner conflict, making it difficult to make sense of my desires and actions. When I tried to incorporate some of these new experiences into my time with Patrick, he began to sense that something was off. His keen analytical mind, shaped by his work as an electrical and electronic engineer, led him to install an app on my phone called Manything. This app, which can be remotely controlled and recorded without my knowledge, was a measure of his growing suspicion. Patrick's decision to monitor my activities revealed a side of him I hadn't fully anticipated, leaving me feeling both betrayed and exposed. Discovering the app was a shock, and it left me feeling a mix of guilt and apprehension. The trust between Patrick and me felt jeopardized, and I was forced to confront the uncomfortable reality of my situation. I am torn between the genuine love I have for Patrick and the powerful allure of what I've experienced with Ken. This internal struggle is creating a rift in my relationship with Patrick and making it increasingly difficult to find a path forward that honors both my feelings and my actions. The realization that my actions have caused irreparable damage to our relationship is a bitter pill to swallow, and I am left grappling with the consequences of my choices. Last October, Patrick invited me over to his house under the pretense of a casual visit. Once there, he presented me with a video that left me in utter shock. A recording of me enjoying intimate moments with Ken and his friends in Ken's private soundproof room. The footage clearly documented my involvement and the activities we had shared, a stark invasion of my privacy. I was so overwhelmed by the discovery that I could hardly process the gravity of the situation. The video not only exposed my actions, but also betrayed the trust I had in my private moments, adding a new layer of emotional trauma. My immediate reaction was a tearful apology, repeatedly saying that I was sorry and that I could explain, even though I was struggling to find the right words. It's bewildering how, when caught in such a compromising position, my first instinct was to try and explain away the situation with the hollow assurance of, "It's not what it looks like. What more could I possibly say?" I had previously told Patrick I was busy with lab work over the weekend, but in reality, I had travelled 4 hours to Montreal purely for the thrill of the experience. Patrick had captured every detail, including footage of me answering his calls while I was there, falsely claiming I was with friends at the lab. The discrepancy between my claims and the reality of the footage was a stark reminder of the web of lies I had woven. To my dismay, Patrick did more than confront me. Out of a sense of duty, he shared the video with Ken's current girlfriend in the UK, Betty, which led to her breaking up with him. This added another layer of complication to an already tangled situation. All of us, including Ken, were once part of the same church community back in northern Nigeria, which made the unfolding drama even more painful and complicated. The ripple effects of my actions had caused heartbreak and disruption far beyond my immediate relationships, impacting those I once held dear. That was how Patrick and Betty's relationship began. Their connection deepened over time, and now they are on the brink of marriage. They have already completed the traditional rites, marking the beginning of their life together. Meanwhile, I continue to see Ken, fully aware that he views me primarily as an object of sexual exploration rather than a partner. Seeing Patrick move forward with his life, while I remain entangled in a relationship with Ken that lacks true emotional connection, only amplifies my sense of loss. My world shifted dramatically last month when I discovered that I was pregnant. The reality of my situation is overwhelming and complex. I find myself facing the harsh truth that I do not know who is responsible for the pregnancy. During that fateful weekend, I had unprotected sex with Ken, his neighbour, and 3 of his friends. Given the timing of conception, It is possible that any one of these 5 men could be the father. The uncertainty surrounding the paternity of my child adds a new layer of complexity to my already tumultuous life. When I confided in Ken about my pregnancy, his response was shockingly indifferent. He dismissed my concerns with a flippant remark, telling me to take care of myself and implying that I should handle the situation on my own. He pointedly reminded me that I had engaged in these activities with multiple partners, so I should not be surprised by the consequences. His words stung deeply. The reality is that actions and games have consequences, and I am now grappling with the severe repercussions of my choices. Ken's dismissal of my predicament underscores the depth of my isolation and the consequences of my actions, leaving me to face this crisis alone. I fear the disappointment and rejection from my parents for bringing this disgrace upon our family. Here I am in Canada, pregnant and alone, with no clear sense of my future. I lack true friendship, love, and even the residence permit papers that would have stabilized my life. My dreams of pursuing a master's degree are on hold, overshadowed by the immediate and daunting reality of impending motherhood. The weight of my situation is crushing, making me feel as though my dreams and aspirations have been irrevocably derailed. As I reflect on my choices, I am haunted by the knowledge that I had true love with Patrick, and I sacrificed it for fleeting sexual gratifications. Yesterday, as I scrolled through Facebook, I saw that Patrick is now married to Betty and has moved to the UK to be with her. The stark reality of my situation hits hard. I have only myself to blame for the decisions that led me here. The recognition of my role in the unfolding tragedy brings a profound sense of regret and self-reproach. It's a painful lesson that not all that glitters is gold, and true love is rare and precious. My journey serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of making thoughtful choices and valuing genuine relationships over temporary pleasures. The experience has taught me the hard way about the importance of staying true to what truly matters in life rather than succumbing to transient desires. If you have enjoyed the story, please like, share, and feel free to leave your thoughts on what you think Lucy should do in the comments section. Kindly subscribe to the Cheaters Exposed for more intriguing stories like this one. Thank you.